Oh, what a splendid morning it is. I think spring has sprung. It's gonna be up 60 plus degrees today. And oh, the weather is so nice, dry, blue skies. So I think we're gonna take advantage of this weather window and get the aft chain plate done, which is something I've been waiting for better weather for. I also need to get these thru-hulls done, the two old transducers. Those holes need to be repaired from the inside as well. But the boat can be completely opened up, get all that fiberglass dust out of here. I'm gonna take off some stuff that I don't need anymore on the boat, and hopefully in the coming weeks we'll do a big spring cleaning where we're gonna get all that dust out of here, maybe get some of the buildup on the deck that has happened over the past 2 years of boat work. And yeah, and then we'll have a nice, fresh, clean start for a nice long spring and summer of boat work to get as much done as we can without having to worry about cleaning along the way. All right, looking back into the workspace, the aft labs. So we've got this chain plate pad, which I'm gonna dig out. There's some big gouges in there, so it's gonna take a bit. That'll be nice to have done. And then on top of that, I kind of want to get rid of this old Wood Freeman pilot, autopilot, or autohelm system, because all the other parts were fried. So I don't really need this anymore, and I know what kind of autopilot I'm gonna get in the future, one that connects up with the chart plotters and everything, so I don't need this anymore, and it'll be nice to free up this space. It's just the issue with the steering quadrant and figuring out if this all works without the autopilot, or if I have to get a new steering quadrant, which, I mean, probably wouldn't be such a bad idea, because these steering quadrant parts look a little bit rough, but yeah, hopefully I can just take this out and reinstall everything without any issues having to do with the rudder and the steering. Alright, so without this particular auto steering system, I won't be able to use this wheel lock that's kind of cobbled together. It's kind of funny how this is all with plumber's putty. But so I guess I'll be able to cut this this line and take it apart that way, because it used to be that you would pull and push on this, or yeah, you would pull these lines and it would lock the steering through the autopilot, but that's gonna be no longer the case. I'll probably have a more simple system. Oh, there goes the bolt. All right, got the chain off, so that means it's free. And oh yeah, we got that off too. Oh, sweet progress. Yeah, look at that. I'm gonna have to come up with a new system, probably, so the autopilot would run along these teeth, and these would kind of function as the quadrant. But no more. Goodness. I'm gonna clean those quadrants up and see if I can reuse them in some way, because I think the attachments to the rudder shaft rely on those quadrants, so hopefully I can do this without this whole autopilot system attached. I think we can. I mean, what do other boats do, of course. Yeah. Oh, you pig. Alright, the back is up and off the bolts, but this front bit is proving difficult. The angles are really awkward with these bolts, though. Oh gosh. I'm gonna have to get this thing out to get my screwdriver back. Oh, gave me a handle. Okay. Whew. Oh. Got it. Now can I have my screwdriver back, please? Yay! Got it. Okay. Alright, finally got this ancient piece of technology out. Still a lot of good parts. I'm sure it still works, but I'm looking for a more modern system, and if I can close up this back part and make it waterproof in this whole aft last, that would be great, because I don't want any water coming in through this hole and getting on the motor down in there. So yeah, sealing off this aft last is pretty vital, and this would have kept that from happening, both maintenance and everything wise. In the future, when I seal this off, I'm gonna have to go in from underneath the companionway and crawl back to the steering quadrant to work on it. But I think that's better than getting water on the motor. So this is gonna be a little uncomfortable. I'll have Calvin do it. Looking at this whole system, you know, on my old boat it was just a tiller. And you know, I could turn this into just a tiller, but the Traveler is over here. I would rather have the Traveler over the companionway, honestly, than here, because this is gonna take off a toe or something at some point, and stepping over it kind of sucks. I'll keep the wheel, but just barely. I'm barely gonna keep the wheel. If there's a better, if somebody in the comments can tell me what to do with this Traveler, or what better options there are as far as the Traveler goes, I'd be willing to listen to that, because I would much rather have a tiller than all this wheel system. It's just, with a tiller, over months and months of sailing is gonna get really tiring, especially with a big boat like this. And in a storm, there's a lot of pressure on the rudder, and having a wheel with the mechanical advantage that gives with the pulleys is quite helpful, especially in rougher seas, which I'm going to experience a lot of, I imagine. So, you know, I'm waffling here a little bit. I think I'll keep the wheel, just because with a big boat like this, big heavy boat like this, it's going to probably need a wheel. But I have the emergency tiller if any of that fails. It's just putting all this back together and everything is not ideal, and also not a big fan of the whole wheel system. But yeah, with a big boat, a wheel is pretty necessary. All right, enough playing around. Let's get this chain plate sorted. As with the other chain plates, we started out with the finger sander to get all the sharp edges out, and then once the sharp edges and gouges that I left with the oscillating tool were out, we used the sander to flatten it out and make it nice and smooth. All right, I was just getting cleaned up here, and look at that. So there's some rust intrusion, some delamination. I just got to go a little bit farther down there. But otherwise, it's looking pretty good. Yeah, there's just a few places I want to follow up with. It's getting pretty thin there, so I'm not going to go any further there. But there's a few rusty places that show some delamination that I'm going to follow up with, and then we'll be done with the grinding. Alright, I think this looks pretty good. So I'm going to measure out this one, because it might be a little bit different from the other ones. And then we're going to start laying the fiberglass on it. Thank goodness. For the fiberglass repair, we're using alternating layers of bioxo roving and chop strand. I started out using a couple of pieces of chop strand to fill in some of the gouges, and then alternating bioxo roving and chop strand. Chop strand is kind of like an adhesion layer, and the bioxo roving is the strength layer, and it makes a nice repair. All right, I think that would do it. So I also repaired a little bit above, but yeah, this looks pretty good. I like the way it looks, and there's no bubbles in there, so it's pretty much ready to accept the new chain plate. So hopefully that will come in a soon to be upcoming video. So we still got some light, we still got some warmth, so I'm gonna hit up at least one of those thru-hulls. Alright, so these transducers never really worked for me. In fact, they were wholly unreliable, and I don't think these are even the ones that were feeding the stuff before, because these wires have been cut for a long time, I think. So to remove these, I guess I'm going to start with what I can do, which are these nuts and this cap. It's going to be a bit like playing surgery because it's all going to be through these portholes, which work fantastic. Totally effortless, nice. But yeah, I'm gonna get to work on these. The transducer assembly actually came apart pretty easy. Once the nuts and cap were off, I was able to pry off the protective shield, that's brass or bronze. To get the block apart, I needed to use the oscillating saw to slowly piece it off. If I was in a bigger space, I would just hammer it with a pry bar and peel it off. But using a combination of a pry bar and the hammer and the oscillating tool, I was able to slowly take it off piece by piece. These bolts went all the way through the hull, so I had to cut around the bolts and hammer from the top to get it off. I've never had this happen before. I think there are some like welds that hold the blade on because it's stuck in the wood and it just kind of came off. Yeah, so I'm getting started on the other side. I already know what to do, so it's gonna be a lot easier. But yeah, oh, got the hole open. Everything's good. The whole external block came off too, so I don't have to grind that off, risking being seen by the yard. So yeah. Gonna get this block off, and hopefully it'll come off with the block outside as well. Alright, a few hours later, and we have some holes, and the blocks on the outside also came off with the thru-hulls. So now we're just going to grind a big circle around the thru-hulls and then apply some epoxy and fiberglass. I'm gonna put some peel ply on the other side of the holes so that it creates a nice finish on the outside, even though we're going to come back and grind those outside epoxy bulges that it makes. It's just makes sure the epoxy stays in there and penetrates in. So, whew. One part of the surgery is done and the next part begins. Gearing up for another round. For the thru-hulls, I used the finger sander to take away big chunks of fiberglass in this tight space, which worked really well. And then I used a sander to follow up, just a regular sander, 60 grit, to smooth down the work area and remove any paint around the perimeter. And then much like the chainplate repair, we're using chop strand, biaxial chop strand, alternating layers with epoxy. Oh, alright, I had some leftover epoxy, so I tabbed in the shower pan and the head. I might have to revisit the this edge because it kind of sticks up a little bit in some places, and with the biaxial roving, it's really stiff, so I don't exactly get the shape that I want, but I was able to like jam it into the corners. So at least it's a waterproof pan still. It's just I'm gonna need to revisit it properly. And then the main event, these thru-hulls, they look good, all done. They got 6 layers of fiberglass built up on a bevel, so it looks good. And I think it should be pretty solid. Alright, it's now 1 a.m., which means I get home at around 2 a.m. And the babies, hopefully, have been sleeping through the night. I want to thank my sponsors. Thank you guys for making this journey so much more possible for me. Thank you to everybody in the comments on YouTube. It really helps the videos. And yeah, thank you to my patrons again. If you're interested in the Patreon, the link is in the description. Looking forward to next time where we probably continue building up the interior a little bit. I might start thinking about closing up that wall that covers the that closes in the aft las, but I need to make sure where the steering mechanism goes, so that might have to wait. But there's plenty to do. I need to start building that bowsprit soon. I need to finish the V-berth soon, and yeah, the V-berth being done is going to be really awesome. It's cool to have all these chain plate pads done, because then we can start thinking about actually installing the chain plates, which is crazy. I can't wait. It's going to be a big step. I might just do the aft one, because I don't have to do much to the exterior, just through bolted on, so that one will be a good learning experience. Yeah, so I'll catch you next time. See you on the next episode.